The level of stupidity of some people is really astounding. Just seen a video where someone thinks it's a brilliant idea to go and any floozy, for those who do not know, any of those cam girls that they see, they should write a false report, because if you don't know if they are paying their taxes or not, you might be making a false statement. And apparently someone by the name of Daniel Wu had a brilliant idea of just going after all the cam girls that they can find and report them to to their local tax offices. Now, I don't watch that kind of stuff. I have seen it a couple of times to know what it was about. I am aware that there is a site called Chatterbait. I checked it a couple of times to see. Oh, I think it's a good idea in the sense that in this way, several people won't end up in hard prostitution, drugged to the bone by some pimp who is exploiting them. Because all this prostitution environment, it tends to be very well controlled. It has usually seems to have, I mean, read about it if you doubt me. That's at least what the legal articles about the topic touch all the time. That it tends to be very well organized by people who are not nice at all. So there are horrible stories how they get brother and sister to have sex just to, break them so into the thing and then fill them with drugs and keep them in the leash because they control the drugs and they control, and the fact that it's illegal in several countries, it's just a big help for those really nasty people because they can much easier manipulate the poor sods that end up in that situation, that they end up in prostitution. So with those cam girls, if there's one way of breaking the prostitution rings to be a cam girl or cam boy or whatever, that's the way to go. That's what I found interesting about that specific phenomena. And even in some previous channel, is long gone, I had actually talked about it and suggested that if you really want to break the prostitution rings and prostitution as a whole, that's what you should be doing, because that way you are taking money out of that market into your own very pockets. And also touch the top, I'm still very ill, so if I cough, please don't take it personal, because it isn't. But that's the thing, you know. But no, those mediocre, those little people, those petty people, the kind of people, it's because of that kind of people. And I'm not talking about the cam girls now. I'm talking about the guys, the young men doing this kind of video, that this is the worst possible thing you can do. That's the most stupid thing you can do. That's even more stupid than actually paying those cam girls. And you're telling me, and you ask me why? Why is it? I'm doing the right thing. I'm, making sure people pay the taxes. First, most of those kids attacking those scum girls, they are usually the kind that call themselves uncaps and libertarians and all this yada yada that they don't even know what anarchism has to do with. Those liberalists, liberatists, like that kind of people who get into those bandwagons, who should be completely radically against the current tax system. That's a first. But just for the sake of screwing with someone who's actually managing to slip through, and I'm not saying don't pay your taxes, I'm saying most of those taxes are wrong and you should not be paying. Since we have to, we have no choice. Currently, we have to pay them, but I'm radically against that. Yes, I am. If I could avoid it, I would in a legal way. For now, I keep paying my taxes because otherwise they throw me in jail. And that's a place I don't want to be because they also turn jails into rape cages. That's what your efficient government is doing to you, and you don't even care. Because in your mind, only bad people end up in those places, which is not true. Currently, it's not true. If you happen to have a wrong kind of grass in your pocket, you'll go to jail. It's insane. That's how evil our society has become. All for the sake of screwing somebody who doesn't share your ideas. I mean, it's ridiculous. They managed to throw us against each other and collecting taxes over it, like. So those retards, and I'm going to call them for retarded, because this is what you are. It's not an insult for the people who are actually mentally challenged. You're inflicting your own mental challenges upon yourself because you're not thinking really. You're so full of frustration and bile that you're barking at the wrong trees, you idiot. You're going after people who managed to possibly, I don't know, some of them do pay taxes. People who managed to slip through the cracks. And you want to make sure that your state, that probably, I'm not saying it's the case, but probably invests most of that tax money, if not all of it, into wars that shouldn't even exist to begin with, where there are people dying and suffering, and there are children being blown to bits, and there are people dying of starvation, and women getting raped. And you'd rather have that such a state has access to all your money and the money that other people make. And you think that you are above someone who works and decides to do whatever they want to do with their money. If you ask me, yes, I think it's pathetic. I think it's ridiculous. As a family father, of course I do, to waste money, hard-earned money, into some floozy in the web. Yes. However, it's not my money that is being wasted into that bullshit that has to do with self-gratification from both sides. I would much rather have those people keep their money than the money goes to a state that is making up lies so they can send people to get afterwards kicked out in the street when they are broken down because they are sent as soldiers. They've been taught all their life not to kill, that killing is wrong, that murder is wrong. And then, despite them not being even in legal age to drink in several countries, they are shipped into another country that they do not speak the language, that they do not know the people, that they do not know anything about, and neither do they care, to kill and be master over life and death, over people who just want to keep them away and will do the most extreme things to get them away from there. So you think, you who defend that you go after some women in the web because they are managing to make money out of not being out in the street, not being part of a prostitution ring, not being pimped by some horrible person, that they can make money for themselves and are probably breaking down. I know why this is being promoted, because the prostitution rings are probably losing a massive amount of money with that. So that's their way of trying to stop it. No, I cannot promote writing false complaints about people I'm not sure about their tax situation, as if they wouldn't be paying taxes. Some taxes that didn't even exist back in the 70s, kind of 30, 40 years ago. They weren't even taxes, because the sole idea that they would be taxes would be so absurd that people would never be into it. But because of all the madness of the Cold War and all the proxy wars we've been through, they managed to create more and slip more taxes and get more and more of that for all of us to pay. And you think it's a good idea. It's a great idea. Just to see the faces of some good looking girls slash women, just because they are happy, because you aren't. So you want to make everybody else miserable. Everybody else must suffer because you suffer. That is the most selfish thing I have seen in a long time. Oh, this guy, he's paying that woman to see her naked. Oh, that's horrifying. No, no. It's his money. He does with it whatever he wants. It's her image. She does with her image whatever she wants. Horrifying. Truly horrifying is you enforcing a taxation system that is fueling the deaths and trauma, because those soldiers that are sent abroad, they are what? Over 25% of them come back suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. That is nothing pretty. It's a broken individual that probably will never be able to function fully ever again. But that's what you promote. That's what you're promoting with this. Oh, more money for that. What, two people having fun at the expenses of each other? We can't have that. Two consenting adults agreeing in a negotiation? Oh, no, too much freedom. Let the government have that money. The government that loves you so much talk about paying for an illusion, paying for shooting yourself in the dick. Talk about that. Let the government that sends children abroad to be killed and slaughtered and break legs and limbs and slaughter people back and forth, and drone children in hospitals. Let those governments have that money because they surely deserve it. You're sick and you don't know it. If you think there's something wrong between two consenting adults without pimps, without organized crime, without prostitution proper, that would include the physical act of degradation. No, that's wrong somehow. A woman taking advantage of her looks before it fades away, and women, your looks fade away so fast. You only have that time spec in your life to take advantage in one way or another. If you are an antisocial woman, I will recommend installing a webcam and cashing out and saving your money. Of course, pay your taxes because there is no way around it. However, I will always recommend not to file false tax uh, claims in someone that you don't know and you shouldn't know. And we pay too much taxes, and the money is being misused in several ways, in horrifying ways. Our world has been good. Now we have a political class that hates us, and apparently to the point that they want to get rid of all of us and replace that. There is population replacement going on in several countries. That's the kind of government we have. And you think and you believe that those politicians should have that money. Not to individuals that work one way or another to have it and to spend it as they see free. No. That for your sick mindset of the past that does not work, has never worked. If you wonder where there were socialist revolts and how did they manage to overcome, there might be something into it that people were fed up and tired of and they wanted change. Because if the majority of people haven't rooted for those people, that sure they turn out to be scum, but what if they weren't? You know, there might have been a reason why people rooted for those things. Because they were sick and tired of being exploited and sick or tired of their envious neighbor like yourself that can't stand still while somebody else is having fun. Because it's not having fun the way that you consider to be having fun, that I at least don't. I am against prostitution. I don't think it is a good thing. I think moves something inside of you that is not good. Gives you a wrong understanding of relationships, at least. However, it's way better than fueling money into the current madness that we have, or believing in a book that tells you that people have wings and they can fly. Therefore, you should be entitled to kill the firstborns of somebody who do not share your tribal mindset. That's not my idea of having fun either. Neither ideas for me are fun in any way. Going to some dull meeting in the weekend where you get to hear some weakling, some weak person with deep glasses. I wear glasses myself, so bear with me. Not deep glasses, but glasses nonetheless. But a person who is clearly, that's my point, a person that's who is clearly, totally, like the furthest possible thing you can think of being spiritually healthy. And you have to pretend that you agree with all this thing. And you might even agree. But this is because you probably don't know what it is all about. You think you know, you were told by some idiot jackass, probably worse than you, that that was the truth when it wasn't, when it clearly isn't. That's not fun at all, either. But you have the right to go and do that. So let others have the right to go and do whatever they want to do as long as they are consenting adults and they are in common agreement. Going after those women shows possible hatred of women. Yes, I don't like to use it in that way. However, it feels that way by the way that it's spoken about those women, that you have contempt, that they have beautiful forms and shapes, and they are not ashamed of showing them. Now, there's a problem there. The body is beautiful, the human body is beautiful. We are naturally wired to find it beautiful because we are humans. So if you have a problem with a human body, there might be something wrong with you. That some women are taking advantage of gullible men is questionable, of how gullible one or the other is. They are adults. They do with their money what they want to do. It's not your fucking business to mess with that. Especially, especially if your claim is that the state should inherit that money, or part of it even. It's unthinkable. I mean, what are you thinking? You're promoting the use of that money, actually, the misuse of that money, to something way, way worse. And they say, oh, so the government can use it to fund schools, indoctrination system that forces kids who are naturally inclined to run and have fun, and by playing learning how to behave in a proper healthy society, forcing them into a closed room with an adult they don't know anything about, that doesn't care about them. The adult want their money in the end of the month. Many of them are completely incompetent, and if it weren't for the unions, they would be fired on the spot. But nowadays, it's so hard to fire a teacher that the teacher literally has to rape to run the risk of being expelled from school. Like the suggestion, the nerve. But again, those people don't think. Those are the same kind of idiots that think that going to the church on the Sunday gives them the right to attack anyone who is not like them, or who is like them and is not afraid of being what they wish they would be brave enough to be themselves. Because they were beaten down in fear and submission of some lame religion that could only slip away because they sneak themselves into societies when we didn't have control over the situation. And now the only reason that some of those religions exist is because children are tormented in, into fearing those religions. And then when they are adults, they don't have the cognitive mechanics to get away from that shit because they've been conditioned. They've been broken down to think that this is the way. I'm disgusted. I'm repulsed. More than I could be by watching some beautiful body in the web. Which, by the way, if you don't pay, it's free. You can still watch it. You don't need to pay anything. Sure, they might block sometimes because somebody paid to have a special closed show for themselves. But you can watch most of it for free. And that provided those people who aren't paying, they're actually paying so they can get the rights to that record that only they have access to, so they can make a website or and they can make a page in some porn website where they can just post all the porn that they paid for of those women there and cash in based on that. So you can see it's not only fools who are making money out of those floozies. It's not only floozies who are making money out of those fools. There are also guys there and girls who are making money out of those floozies. You know, yeah, they will pay some more, but then they get the clip that nobody has, and they can just after they have what 5, 10, 20 of them different cam girls, they can just go to some Pornhub, and yes, I'm giving ideas. If it is perfectly legal, still to give ideas, I'm giving ideas to people. You know, that is your way of cashing in. If you are really against prostitution, that's your way of breaking it. Okay, break the back of organized prostitution there by doing it yourself for free. You know, getting paid to do that, whatever you feel like. We need a new moral system. And a moral system doesn't have to be this old, archaic, Iron Age crap that doesn't even work anymore because our society has advanced so much that, like, there's not even a reason anymore to even read half of that madness that we call literature, religious literature. It's disgusting, it's repulsive. The mindset of those people who believe that in the name of something holy, they have the right to go and crank with everybody else's lives. No, you have no right to do that according to your own God. According to your own God, you should mind your own business and you should love your next as you love yourself. And that's not a way of displaying that you love your next. Oh, I'm trying to prevent them. Prevent them from what? Being happy in their own life? Don't you think that the notion that we are all going to die is already bad enough? We need more. Have you ever at least been close to death to know what it feels like? You think it's a blessing? But for you, perhaps it is. No, let those people be happy with their miserable existences. It will be soon over anyway, for every one of us. Now, I'm not talking about doomsday or any of that other absurdity to get people in line to do what those spiritually dead people want them to. Bunch of pedophiles. That's the horrifying thing. You are going to institutions who actually promote the worst kind of stuff. In their behalf, you think you are entitled to take the joy from other people. Let them have their adult consenting joy. You should be more concerned about your own religion, who have official caste of literal perverted, sick individuals who are, in their almost majority, spiritually dead. Actually, they constitute what would be antagonistic to the principles of the people who founded those religions in the first place. Because what Christ said, for instance, has nothing to do, very little to do, currently to what people who believe they're following Christ are doing. For instance, you want an example because what the hell do you know about? Well, I studied theology. I have an idea. An example. Christ spoke, you can check it, I think it's Matthew's, vehemently against divorce. Only marry when you are sure because you'll be one flesh. And what's the meaning of all that? Meaning is very simple. You're going to raise children. They are the one flesh, the fusion of those two fleshes into one, yes. So they are your continuation. They are what God wants. And also be sure, because children need you, be sure that you don't divorce. And he didn't use those specific words, but unless you're a fucking moron, you know what I'm talking about. Do I really need to get literal? Point is, he wrote several verses. There are several, not he, of course, but they wrote several verses about how Christ was vehemently against divorce. Christianity today allows divorce. And the only time that Christ literally lost his mind was when people were using the temple to make money. What happens in every church meeting? There's a part of the ritual that consists in passing around the thing to fill it with money. What goes exactly against the only time that Christ literally picked up a whip and started whipping people out of the fucking building. So, that's just to illustrate how skewed you are from the way that you believe you're following. How far from it. Oh, and I'm pretty sure those religious zealots that you follow will have an excuse to everything. But bear in mind, if you read the darn thing, it's there. Crystal clear. No doubts about it. Don't use the church or the temple church. Don't use it to make money as, It's not a place, the house of the Lord is not a place for that. And don't divorce. Unless there is treason, unless there is one of the parts is unfaithful. But other than that, there's no way that he can agree. So it's in your book. So if you don't know that, or if you follow something that is completely away from that, you can't really set any morals to anybody else. Really. So start considering that. I'm just using that to show as an example for those who think that they're in the right path because prostitution is wrong, and Christ spoke on the behalf of prostitutes. assuming Maria Magdalena was one, which many people assume, not that she just liked fucking around, he defended her. Let the first person who is free from all sin throw the first rock or something like that, right? No, here you are, judging and condemning others as you were, as it would be your duty. It's not. Your duty in life is to mind your own business, to try to be as happy as you possibly can, and don't believe in the assholes that tell you, oh, life is suffering, that's all life is. No, life is suffering for those who chose to suffer. You can be happy in life. Let people be happy in life. And yeah, I know I'm going against some big shots for saying that. But all those big shots really want is that you get your ass back into the plantation and you raise money for the people that they work to. Because they are being paid to do that job to put you back in the track, if you understand what I mean. So they are not nice, neither do they care about you. Because if you believe that life is suffering and that's all life is about, you're sick in the head and you need therapy. Let those people have fun. Let them do whatever they want to do. They're legal consenting adults. Don't go witch hunting. Like people would listen to anything I have to say anyway. It's just repulsive. Because things I was sure, like I grew up in the 70s, things I was sure we were free from. We had the sexual revolution. We had a new form of enlightenment. You know, we had decades of people happy that they had freedom of expression, not only of verbal expression, but of physical expression. They could be finally themselves. Humanity could be human again. Did they went in a killing spree? No, they didn't. Did the homosexuals started rallying kids in the streets and murdering them? No, they didn't. There are some assholes in that community, but there are assholes in any group and community. Be careful of those who happen to be assholes. So I'm keeping an eye on some assholes in the whole libertarian and liberalist and liberal-artist and liberal-articist and the anarchist and all those who claim to be about freedom of speech and all that. They are forgetting a little their place now when they start demanding, oh, you should go after those floozies because we can't have that. And uh, what? We just got rid of all that madness because it sucked so bad that nobody was happy in society. Well, evil people were happy in society because they could use those shame systems to torment the youth, you know. Let those scum girls do whatever they want to do as long as legal, and let's get rid of all this tax system, and the less taxing the best. If people can avoid it, let them avoid it. It's not your business. They are not paying you. In fact, they are taking money from you. And don't try to bleeding heart your way out of it saying, oh, this money will go to paying pensions and to paying retirement funds and to paying the children No, it won't. It will go to bombing cities and slaughtering children and burning them with chemical ash from the explosions, from the fucking drones that we are using in our societies to blow up entire countries around the world in an uttermost madness party in the name of democracy when people don't even know what that means. This is pure madness. And you are promoting it by demanding people to pay their taxes. You become part of the problem, and you need to be stopped if you're doing that. As those politicians need to be stopped, as those governments need to be stopped. Because talk about suffering, they want to make life suffering. They want to make it a reality where everyone is suffering, except a little few that hold all the cards. And they will pay well, soft spoken people who might even talk like Kermit the Frog to make it more sympathetic to some. It's a fucking disgrace. Oh, they will throw some crumbs in the hopes that you bite the bait, and then they will hook you up and gut you from your possessions, from all your possessions that they don't care about. It is really the power thing. It's disgusting. Going after those women because they happen to be beautiful and because they're actually making it. Because you feel ugly, you feel small, you feel inferior, you feel frustrated that you have to pay taxes. So tell you what, find a way to avoid paying taxes. Focus into that since you are so clever. Because there are several companies that seem to do that. Instead of going after people just because they're happy. Life is suffering. Suffering my ass. Don't make life suffering. Let people be, mind your own business. If some people manage to have some that they can live out when they are older, because they don't know anything else and they are not worthy more than that, let them at least have that. What is it up to you to take it away from them? By going to the worst possible monster that currently roams around the world killing people and breaking them down, turning them into suffering creatures. Think about it. Because you're not on the right track when, ooh, let's go after them just to ruin their fun by forcing their money into a system that kills people, that actually make people miserable and basically non-existent. If you support that, you become part of the problem.